This video is for numbers 10 and 11 from the Chapter 8 Section 1 practice packet. The directions read, write an exact equation for the graphs below. This means find the stretch factor. So in this case, we're actually looking for the exact equations, and we are actually going to have to focus on the stretch factor. So it's not just the end behaviors and the root behaviors we're focused on. We actually need something that matches the exact graph. So we're going to do the same way we've been doing the previous problems. To start, right, we've got to identify what our roots are. We have x equals -1, x equals 1, and that one's a double root, and then we have x equals 2. So to build our equation, we're going to say y is equal to, and now we're going to put an a in here. Okay, so that's what we're going to end up having to find. But let's turn each of our roots into factors. So x equals -1 should be x plus 1. The x equals 1 would have come from an x minus 1, and since it's a double root, we'll square it. And then x equals 2 would have come from x minus 2. Our next step then will be to choose a point that is not on the x-axis. Okay, so you can't use any points that are on this line. It has to be a different point. When you look at this one's kind of hard to see what that is, but we can see this point is the y-intercept, so we know that that exact coordinate, or coordinates of this would be 0, -6. So let's plug in the x for the x value and the y for the y. So we got -6 equals a times 0 plus 1 times 0 minus 1 squared times 0 minus 2. Now simplify the right side of your equation. We'll have -6 is equal to a times 1 times 0 minus 1 is -1, but then when we square it, it becomes +1. And then 0 minus 2 gives us -2. Multiply all that together, we have -2a is equal to -6. And then just finish solving for a. You're going to get that a is equal to 3. Now you're not finished yet. Remember, you need to write out your equation as your answer. So y is going to equal 3, that was our value of a, and then we'll do our x plus 1 times x minus 1 squared times x minus 2. That is the equation of the graph that we were given. And you can always graph it on the calculator to check it to make sure that it gives the exact same shape. Now the second one, we're actually probably not going to get the exact equation. We're going to have to do a little bit of rounding. So I'm just telling that ahead of time. And it's just because of the particular problem that we have. We've actually rounded part of the value in the point that we're giving you. But we're going to do this the same way. We're going to set it up here after we figure out what our root values are. So x equals -4, x equals -3. Remember, when x equals 0, and then we have x equals 1. So when x equals 0, remember that factor would be just like an x. So let's build it. Now, I'm going to say here a, and I know this one's going down to the right, so it's going to have a negative orientation, but I'm just going to put a here. So when I solve for a, I will end up with a negative value. Okay, so let's take it here. We've got a times, these are all single roots, so it's just going to pass straight through. So I have x plus 4, I have x plus 3. I don't usually like to put x here, so if I put x there, sometimes I'll put like x minus 0 if I forget to put it up there by my a, which you can do it that way, or you could have rewritten it as y equals a times x plus 4 ... right? If you don't want to put the minus 0 in there. All right, now let's take that point and plug it in. Let's put the x in for x, the y in for y, so be careful there. We've got 1 is equal to a times -3.56 plus 4, -3.56 plus 3. We've got just -3.56, and then we've got -3.56 minus 1. And we'll just take that and we'll simplify those values. 1 equals a times, let's see, this one is going to end up being 0.44. The second one will be a negative 0.56. The third one is negative 3.56. And then the last one there looks like it's negative 4.56. And now you're probably going to want to get out your calculator to do that calculation. So I'm going to do mine off screen here, where it looks like we're going to have, I'm going to multiply mine real quick. So bear with me for 1 second. And it looks like we have negative 3.99995. So it's like saying here 1 is equal to negative 3.9999, right? And then we have the 5 and stuff there. So we'll just leave it right there for right now, times A. So when we would divide by that negative 3.9999 number, right, we can go ahead and just think of that as negative 4. It's close enough that'll be just fine. So rather than writing this as a fraction with a decimal in it, we'll just treat this as negative 1/4 is equal to our A value. And then the last part then would be to write out our equation. So we have y is equal to negative 1/4 times, I'm just going to leave the one with the x minus 0 in there, but you can put the x in there if you want to. Normally I would, I just missed it on this one. And that should be our answer. And notice our A is negative, right, which means it should be going down to the right, and that matches what we have on our graph. All right, so that is number 10 and number 11. And if you have questions, please make sure you reach out. Otherwise, good job.